Starting recording. And it's still there. I don't need to get
Yeah.
yes. Okay. I,
Okay.
I guess I guess I don't know what happened. Anyway, I'm going to pause for about 5 seconds.
hmm
Good morning, Sheila. How are you doing this wonderful Thursday?
Good morning, Wayne. Actually, it is a beautiful day outside. I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I understand you and your husband just got back from a scuba vacation. Was it
We
fun?
did. It was really fun, and we learned a lot about how we'll do it differently next time.
Okay. And welcome to our listeners for 27 minutes with Sheila and Wayne, where we talk about communication skills and particularly verbs as we are attempting to change the world positively,
Right.
one verb at a time. Right.
Right.
Yes. Yes. So I
So
changed the intro a little bit
I
there.
I like how you changed it.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Yep.
Great. And Sheila, would you tell our audience what our verb is today, please?
We spun the wheel, and today's verb is to inform.
Inform.
Which
Wow.
means to give someone facts or information or to tell. And I know you're going to give a much more in-depth definition, but I do want to say that this was early used in the 14th century to train or instruct in some specific subject. So the definition hasn't changed all that much over the decades and centuries.
Excellent. And you're right, because I do have to influence something such as an opinion or decision,
Mm.
to give information or to teach someone about something, and to tell someone about something, especially officially.
Aha.
Aha. And I'm not sure about you, but when I first thought of inform, I thought, "Ooh, okay, inform." I was gonna go off on so many different ways and
Yeah.
tangents,
Yeah.
and then as I started doing my research, I found myself going down a different path than I had
Oh,
anticipated,
okay.
and so that's what I have for us today, a different path.
Well, okay. I like that.
And Sheila,
So,
how may our listeners find you on the internet?
my website is zekeandsheila.com.
And we're still under construction with an email.
I was hoping you would not even think to ask that question.
And ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at Wayne at mindsyncing.com. That's my email address, Wayne at mindsyncing.com. My internet address is www.mindsyncing.com. That's MINDSYNCING.com.
Thank you, Wayne.
You're welcome. Okay, Sheila, what'd you come up with? I'm not asking for the quotes right now. I'm not
Nope,
asking for the trivia question because
don't have a trivia question.
I don't have a trivia question. It was very
Ah,
hard to find one on this.
yeah, I agree.
Yes, I could not find one, so
Right?
I didn't I didn't make anything up, and I walked away saying, "Okay, better luck next time."
Yep, yep.
What do you have for us initially that you would like to share with us
So
on
the
the
first two things, thank you for asking, are just more about the verb itself. First of all, the classic expression, according to linguaholic.com, using this word is, I regret to inform you. And so
Ooh,
Um, and it was so cute. They said what it means is I'm really, really sorry. And so I thought, well, okay.
okay.
I really like taking our verbs in a positive direction there. So really, really regret to inform you. Later on, I'm going to talk about how good ways to not inform someone of bad news. For instance, someone I know broke up with a girlfriend with a text message. Not the best way to
Ooh.
inform someone of bad news. But
Wow.
to be
Yes.
fair, that person had been avoiding the other person and they needed to get that information communicated. So, but the other one, grammar wise, is that I learned a new word. I always do like learning new words, and that is stative. And I'm going to spell that Stative. This is a stative verb, which I didn't know about.
Hmm.
Versus a dynamic verb, and a stative verb describes a state of being or a condition, and a dynamic verb describes an action. So an example of a stative word, words are to know, to believe, to understand. And dynamic examples are to run, to jump, to eat, work, and play. So there you go. I learned a new thing myself this week.
And you know where Static was going on my
Where?
list of new words because
Oh, right.
over the
Thank you.
year, over the
All
year
right.
and some
Great.
months, you have taught me about 4 or 5 different phrases or words that I need to put down on my list
Well,
because
thank
I'm
you.
ever learning. So thank you very much for informing us about Stative
You are so welcome.
and making a new addition to my new words list.
Mine as well.
I have to tell you, when I
Okay.
was in when I was in undergrad, I really felt ill prepared because a lot of my classmates had already taken some of these classes in high school that I was
Mhm.
sitting in a college
Oh,
course
oh.
taking, and I go, "Wow, you had this in high school?" They go, "Oh yeah, what? Didn't you?" I mean, "No,"
Mm.
but I did have my dictionary next to me every
Ah.
time I studied
Uh-huh.
because almost every fourth word, so one out of every 4 words I was looking up because I wasn't really sure exactly what that word meant.
Oh,
So I had to I was a slow reader, slow learner, but you know what? I picked up
here you are,
and
Dr. Wayne Applewhite.
there I who, where, what? Well, as I was thinking about the word inform, the verb
Yes.
inform, and I went off, as I said, on a different tangent because
Okay.
I went down a process of, wow, inform is a great way of pairing another verb, which is to communicate.
I found the same thing. It's really about communication, isn't it?
It is. And so I went down a path of, so if it's about communication, what do I know about communication? What do I know about inform? And what informs us? Who informs us? How are we informed? And I
Great.
thought, my first thought was, wow, traffic lights.
Ah,
Ooh, because, they inform us on the current present state. The green
yes.
light means I can proceed.
Right.
The red light means I must stop because there's danger. There are other cars proceeding. And if I were to go forward, I would run into them.
Right.
The yellow light means warning. The current condition is about to change.
Mm.
And I thought, how cool is that? So, so I said, I continued down that list. So I will come back to that after you have offered us some more information here on your side of the research and what might that be.
Okay. I will do a few quotes here. Only 2 quotes this
Oh, I
time.
like quotes. I like your
Um,
quotes. I do.
Thank you. Thank you. Thomas Jefferson said, history in general only informs us of what bad government is.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was interesting. And I'm going to tie that in later with something else. And then Mark Parker said, it's impossible to leave our emotions and experiences outside the workplace. They inform us and make us who we are. And you and I have
Hmm.
talked before about authenticity in the workplace and what's appropriate and inappropriate in
Yes, we
terms of
have.
personal sharing, things like that. So
Aha, you remembered.
I
A-
do
And,
have
and
a
you
spotty memory.
and you reminded me because I forgot.
Oh, okay, good. Teamwork,
Good.
teamwork.
Yes.
So I'm going to skip through a lot of the other things I wrote because I'm going to go back and forth on this. The topic that got me most excited was how to be an informed citizen.
Hmm.
So how to inform yourself of both civics and a recent Stanford University study, not so recent, actually done before the pandemic. That's kind of how I mark recent before pandemic,
Ah,
recent
okay.
after pandemic, ancient history before pandemic. But this Stanford study studied 7,804 students between middle school and college, and they found in 2016 that 82% of middle schoolers cannot distinguish between sponsored content on social media and real news on a website.
Hmm.
So they said that as a parent, you really want to help your kids with that, especially as time has gone by. Many, many more people have used social media like Facebook as their only news source. So I want to tell you the 3 questions to ask yourself and to teach your kids to ask and to ask each other about news that you read. So, number 1, is what I am reading accurate and how can I tell? Number 2, is this a fact-based, credible news source? And number 3, am I acting on this information responsibly?
Okay.
So
And
I
how do
thought
you know?
that was,
And how
how
do
do
you
you,
know if you're reading? How do you know if you're reading it, or if the what I'm reading is accurate? How do you know that?
well, first, one really easy thing is it a little bit on the sensationalized headlines type?
Ah,
So, and then secondly, you can always Google the topic. This is really important too. You and I have talked a little bit about artificial intelligence, and more artificial intelligence is in the news about all of the applications and the way it can be used. And more articles, especially about celebrities, we're going to find are going down the artificial intelligence path. So, sensationalized headlines and look it up in and see if you can find other sources that give the same information as opposed. So that's another way of distinguishing between sensationalized information and real news.
and as you're saying that, it reminds me. I was watching the news in the last couple of days. There
Hmm.
has been a few stories on artificial intelligence and
Hmm.
people grabbing other individuals' voices and their words
Yes,
and matching
yes,
it, pairing it with their and
yes,
making recordings that sound like,
yes.
"Ooh, Wayne said that.
Right,
Wayne said this," and they were talking about how can you tell if Wayne actually said it or if it was synthesized through some kind of
right,
mechanism.
right.
And I thought, wow, that must be scary.
Maybe it's good for families to have a code word. Like, but after reading a similar article, I told my mom in her 90s that if she gets any calls of desperation from her children, grandchildren, or great grandchildren, especially if they ask for money, just don't give it to them.
Just say
Let us
no.
be kidnapped. Let us be in jail. Don't give us money. She said,
Okay.
okay.
All right. Golly. It's really it's sad that we're laughing about that
Yeah.
and that we have to go to those lengths to do those kinds of things. And I don't constantly, but I in recent days, as a matter of fact, as recent as last week, someone sent me an email, says, "Hey, I think my email has been hacked. If you get anything, it
Hmm.
didn't come from me. I will never ever ask you for help via email."
Right.
And so it's wow, it's sad that we have come to that.
Right. You know, financial advisors are particularly challenged by this as well. If a client calls and asks for an amount of money to be sent from their investment account, and you recognize their voice, nevertheless, it's not necessarily them. So, I mean, there are just so many ways they have to have a backup, fail-safe, um, backup informed consent
My-
to make sure the person is who they say they are.
Typically, typically my backup has been I pick up the phone and I use the phone number I know and I call my friend or my colleague and I say,
Mhm.
"Did you send me this? is
That's good.
is this from you?"
See, now that's another way to say, is what I am reading accurate and how can I tell?
Okay. And as I am continuing down the um,
Yes. Yes. Analogy.
traffic avenue analogy, yes, thank
Okay.
you. I ran across traffic signs and I said, "Ooh, what do they inform us about?" The obvious ones. The stop sign says to us, we must stop at the upcoming intersection.
Hmm.
Yay. The yield sign says to us, be careful. The situation up ahead needs your utmost attention. The pedestrian sign informs us that a crosswalk is coming up. Be careful as pedestrians have the right of way.
Hmm.
And something that you and I were talking about a little bit earlier before we got on the call here, slippery when wet. You know that sign, slippery when wet?
Yes.
It's telling us to slow down as to maintain control of our vehicles on wet surfaces.
Hmm.
I I found that pretty fun. And then I started thinking about myself and others on the road with me and how we inform each other of
Mhm.
what might be of interest to them or to us.
Or in some cases, how we're feeling about their driving in the moment.
Well, yeah, oh, there's other ways. Yeah, there's ways to inform us on that, isn't there? I hadn't even thought of that. But the first one, the obvious one that came to me was turn signals.
Ah,
Wow.
yes, yes.
We use them so others know our intent. I am making a right turn at the next corner, so I will be slowing down. I liked that. Informing me that I am turning into the left lane of traffic.
Mhm.
And my hazards lights are
Mm.
on because I'm informing someone around me that something abnormal is happening to me or to someone around my position. Be careful.
Mhm.
Much like I saw a hazard light, a car with hazards on going down this 2-lane highway, and it was mid-afternoon, and I said, wow, what's going on? I wonder what's happening. So I did slow down, and there was this family of ducks crossing the
Oh,
street.
that's a great hazard to slow down for.
It is. And it was so cute and so cool to look at it. You're like, you just kind of go, oh, look at that. It just quacked me up.
Ah, ha, 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 ha.
All
Okay.
right. We're yeah, yes, okay. Yep, I'm gonna put the dad jokes aside, okay?
Well, I'm gonna give you 18% more money than you asked for, which is from a previous broadcast
That's
where
right.
it turns out dad jokes have a monetary value. So, but that's for another day.
That is. And how about you? What's next for us?
Well, two more interesting terms are deep fake technology and cheap fake videos. So, deep fake technology is, again, articles that may be sponsored content or trying to influence you in another way. And cheap fake videos are edited videos, and sometimes you can tell easily, and sometimes you can't tell easily. But again, the trouble with relying on social media or the internet for your news is that you can be fooled. So you have to inform yourself by critical thinking and looking for extra sources.
Ooh, critical thinking. I like that. We need to, that's not a critical thinking. Is that a verb? Thinking is a verb, or think is a
To
verb.
think
To
and
think. So,
and
that would be an interesting podcast if we could turn that into critical thinking as a verb mechanism. I don't
certainly
know.
it's a skill set.
It is. Anyway,
Anyway,
I'm
yes.
going down the road. Squirrel.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
Okay, back on track.
Back on track and back on the avenue. And so
Ah,
again,
yes.
I started thinking of all those kinds of things in the traffic situation, of
Right.
which some of us do and some of us don't do. However, if we don't do that, I would implore everyone, please do that because we can't read your mind. We don't know what's going on. So if you're going to turn left, please have the left blinker on. If you're going to turn
Right.
right, have the right blinker on. I run into no, I don't run into, but I
Oh,
have
good.
driven
Phew.
behind individuals that all of a sudden just slow down or stop,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they turn to the right. I'm like, well, if I'd have known that, I could have
Right.
reacted.
Right.
Yes,
I
that's
first of all, as you're talking, I can tell you're an excellent driver. And secondly, I did hear of someone who, when asked why they didn't turn their turn signal on, said, "It's nobody's business where I'm going."
ooh.
It is
I
everybody's business where you're going in your
I
car.
think you told us that about someone who wrote an article on millennials.
Well, I
Have
wasn't going to say that this time around. Could be anybody.
I remember that. Okay. And, and then I started thinking, hmm, about relationships at home and at work. And
Hmm.
so I said, what? All right, what do I know about informing relationships? And I go, oh. If you can tell someone is visibly angry,
Hmm.
it's that informs you that this is probably not the best time to engage them in idle conversation.
So pay attention, right?
And
Inform yourself.
and this one was always tricky for me and still
Okay.
is.
Oh, okay.
Some of these are tricky, some of them are distinct and I know exactly what they mean. But here's a tricky one. Tears,
Mm.
because I don't know if I'm being informed that someone is happy,
Ah.
sad, relieved, stressing out,
Mm-hmm.
if they're angry,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's empathy.
Mm.
And I remember I have on occasion I have sat down, and just because someone else was crying because of whatever happened, a tear or two would just come to me as well. And people look at me and go, "Are you sad?" I go, "No, I'm feeling what they're feeling. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just." And so those are kind of tricky.
They can be,
They
right.
they can, because you never know what that is. And I think, And so again, communication, the best thing I have found for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this for everyone else, is
Okay.
ask.
Yeah.
What's on your mind? What's happening? May
Mm-hmm.
I help? May I do something?
Mm-hmm.
And on the empathy thing, it's just no. And so I just sat next to them, and here's two people sitting next to each other crying.
Oh, yeah.
But
Sometimes that's the best thing you can do with somebody.
that's what I hear. And okay. And if you notice, there is a common thread between all of the examples that I've shared this morning.
Mm-hmm.
However, not all of the situations of Inform is, I can say this, but everyone that I have done today has told us or informed us that there is time to react. So
Ah,
the yellow light, the caution light is the
right.
conditions are changing, prepare to do something. I have
Mm-hmm.
time to react to that. The stop sign coming up, the symbol that says the stop sign is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's a stop sign coming up at the intersection. I have time to react to that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone turning left, blinkers
Mm-hmm.
right, hazard light. We have time to at work. Now, here's where I deviated just a little bit. At
Okay.
work, when my boss informs me that I am not e- executing up to standards,
Mm-hmm.
he's giving me or she's giving me information. I'm being informed that I'm not on the verge of having consequences
Mm.
put on me as yet if I don't correct this.
Okay.
If I do correct it, then I have time to turn that negative into a positive, and
Mm-hmm.
everything's good. But again, we have time to react. And so I'm thinking, wow. And here we go with some tricky things, because at home or
Mm.
outside, when my wife raises that one eyebrow,
You no longer have time to
she
react.
right, because the pow is coming right up right after that. And I know, I'm in trouble right now. Or
Oh,
yes, all fun, all fun.
yes,
How
yes.
about you? What's next? What's next?
Well,
I'm having
I
so I'm having so much fun. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm having so much fun. Thank you for doing this. So what's next? I'm excited. Can't wait. I'm on the edge of my seat here.
well,
She
let me inform you what I came up with next.
okay.
So
I saw
there's
what
a
you did there.
line which I did not write down who said this, but an informed staff is an engaged staff, and that
Aha.
results in increased productivity, morale, and customer satisfaction, and decreased turnover.
Mm.
So these are different things you want to inform your staff about if you are the company leader. And one thing is how the company's doing. Let them know how the company's doing. And that's both good and bad, because you don't want to have any uninformed surprises, so that,
Mm.
that they don't have time to react.
Yes.
Um, Review the unique benefits of working for the company. Talk about your customer and your culture. Recognize achievements and communicate with potential employees. Um, and that's where we regret to inform you, or we're happy to inform you. And then use more than one avenue: email, newsletters, team chat apps, social media. And as you're doing that, make it succinct and to the point. You don't want to go through. I don't know about you, but long, rambling newsletters, I quit reading them.
I,
So,
and I'm going to tell on myself.
okay.
For everyone who sends me those newsletters in their Christmas cards
Yeah.
of what we did for the last year.
Yeah.
I haven't read all of them.
I love reading them when they're written with a humorous bent.
Yeah, but when they're 4 pages long,
Oh my goodness.
no, I'm
I
I'm
don't
through
know
the half.
anyone who sends a 4-page
I'm
long.
through the first half of the
Oof.
first page, and I'm done.
I look
Yes.
at the pictures for sure.
Interestingly, though, you have mentioned some things that I have on my paper too. Again,
Excellent.
I think I think you have a spy cam in my
I
computer room
do
here.
not. I would never. I do
Okay.
have a spy cam on my dog, but that's different.
Uh-huh. And I'm going to start off with this.
Okay.
I think, and this is just Wayne saying, this is not anything that's tried and true, or there's no empirical data that says I'm right or wrong, but this is just my opinion.
Okay.
Information, we should use, let me back up.
Okay.
Email and texts are for information, not
Okay.
communication.
Ah, okay.
Because in the email, I don't know if the person is angry. I don't know the tone. I don't know the content.
Right.
So it's not it's for information. It says, Wayne, be at this place at this time, period.
Right.
And I think that's where emails should stop. But anyway, here's what I said. When I started thinking about how we use the word inform to let others know what, when, and who at
Yeah.
work or in your social groups outside your work, I used some of those same things you did. I
Mhm.
said, we use email. We inform by Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, telephone, hand signals. I have the
Yeah.
eyebrows in here again.
Okay. Body
So
sig- yeah.
so
Yeah.
body language,
Uh-huh.
memos, policies, rules, regulations, guidelines, and the list goes on and on and on.
A kick under the table. Yeah. Yeah. All sorts of ways.
Exactly. And you said kicked under the table. I looked at the clock and it says 27:05.
Whoa.
So we have a few. If there anything that you would like us to hear that you want to inform us about before we sign
I
off?
just quickly want to say there is a difference between informing someone and trying to persuade someone. So you want to keep track of the difference there. And finally, since social media uses algorithms based on what you've chosen to put more content like that in front of you, I am well informed on puppy videos and baby videos because that's what comes. Those are the headlines on my news feeds.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks, Sheila. And thank you to our audience for listening to Sheila and Wayne as we are changing the world positively, one verb at a time. Sheila, would you take us home, please?
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We appreciate you. We appreciate your feedback. Have a great week.
Thank you. Bye now.